As a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor, and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis, and today we are going to be talking about domestic extremism and the brand new book, Domestic Extremist, a practical guide to winning the culture war. And Peachy Keenan is the anonymous name for this young woman who actually left radical feminism and became a domestic extremist herself by simply having a family. So this is what our good friend Tucker Carlson said about her book. Yesterday's soccer mom is today's domestic extremist. Raising your own family is becoming a radical act of rebellion, one well worth committing, as Peachy Keenan brilliantly describes. So stick around, and I'm going to talk to her more about her story and why she wrote this book and why young women especially need to reject this ideology of feminism. It is a total lie. Right after this. With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you. So joining me now is Peachy Keenan, who is the anonymous author of Domestic Extremist, a practical guide to winning the culture war. And Peachy, I've been so intrigued to talk to you and to also read your book, because you started out as a feminist, and now you are making the case for why domestic extremism is actually the way to go. So let's start
That's
there.
Right.
Kind of your history and what actually brought you out of the feminist movement.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I grew up, in, I had sort of an elite education, private school and university. And my parents were sort of conservative, but I rebelled against that. I was sort of raised by my friends and the culture. And I just grew up believing all the lies, like your 20s are for having fun with your friends. And the last thing you want to do is get pregnant, have a baby, settle down. Like, that's for old people. And we just wanted to work and have fun and wait till we were older to sort of start our adult lives. And, even back then, that's just the message that was just in every magazine, every TV show. There was no other way for a young woman who wanted to be a girl about town. There was just no other way to be. There was no other example for us to follow. I didn't want to be like my mom, who was a housewife, because that just seemed boring. So it really wasn't until later in my 20s, I sort of accidentally met this guy who had been like me. He had been a liberal, a Democrat. He had worked for Bill Clinton actually at one point, and he had been sort of converted to the other side by friends who were conservative, and he had kind of reformed himself. And I met this guy, and we started talking and debating, and we started dating. And honestly, it was just by sheer power of his ability to woo me. And, before I knew it, I was like, wow, I was really wrong. And the first argument we used to have was about abortion issues and like pro-life. I had been like a pro-choice militant, my friends had had abortions. And I mean, ashamed to admit, I had like cheered them on, because I didn't know what the reality was for them. And, they had to suffer those consequences. I didn't. And so we just like by talking and sort of falling in love at the same time, before I knew it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not a feminist anymore. The feminism fell from my eyes and I was like free from my like feminist longhouse.
Wow, that's an incredible story. And I think a lot of women, not only our age, but also currently in the culture, and it's even worse. I mean,
Yeah.
everything that you're saying, I completely understand in terms of, I was raised as well in a conservative and very Christian home as well. And thankfully, grew up in the strength and admonition of the Lord, but it was inundated with all of these, magazines and TV ads and the role models that we were supposed to look up to as young women and say, if you want to do anything with your life that is fulfilling and substantive, then you have to go and have a career. And that kind of implicit feminism is really rife in our culture, even back then. And, and this is 20 years ago, but especially for young women today, that they think that they do have to choose between, and I think we're actually hearing some of that rhetoric, even from places that, I endorse, like Turning Point USA, but, some of the rhetoric coming from some of their speakers would tell young women today, well, you have to choose. You can't have a fulfilling career and also be a stay-at-home mom and a housewife. And so you're going to have to choose. Where I would say to young women, it's not a matter of choice. It's a matter of making sure that you are walking in the truth, and you can have a ministry, but also with a family. And so it sounds like toxic masculinity was really what would actually guided you back on the path toward domestic extremism. So you have this new book. And I think it's kind of tongue in cheek, of course, that it's domestic extremism because the left would like to say that is an extreme position. So what is your message in the book?
Yeah, I mean, I like to joke, I'm not a domestic extremist. I'm just extremely domestic. I did have a career. I worked all my 20s. And the minute I had my first baby, like that was it. I wanted to be home with that baby. You could have put a gun to my head and I would not have handed my baby off. I would not have outsourced, the raising of the infant. That just seemed so unnatural. And I have friends who had to return to work when their babies were like 2 months old or even younger. And I would see privately, they would confess, like, I can't do this. I'm crying every day. I don't know what I'm going to do. But my friends tell me I have to go back. Like there's all this public shaming that women do to other women who don't want to go back to their career after they have a baby, after they discover motherhood is like their real calling, and especially with little kids, which is sort of natural and organic, but they get kind of bullied, they get kind of bullied by their friends and they feel kind of shamed. Like, it's my duty as a woman to work. That's how I actually fulfill my like true value to society. And I have actually successfully, deprogrammed a few of my friends from going back, and I kind of convinced them like, no, trust me, you can do this. I went back to work actually after I had my fourth child. He was in school most of the time. My husband had a home office, so I got this incredible job opportunity. I was like, okay, I'll try it, And I went back to the office, and you would see these young women coming back from maternity leave with their first baby, probably their only baby they would have. They would all say, well, I'm one and done, and I would just think like, well, I didn't understand how they did that. And then lucky for me, I got unexpectedly pregnant with a fifth baby and I never went back, and they couldn't believe that I was giving it all up. How could you, 6-figure income? And yeah, it's difficult. It's a sacrifice, but like, there's a way to sort of make it work. You just have to decide what you want to be rich in and what the priorities are. And for me, the cost of sticking a kid in daycare 50 hours a week was too high. And I'd rather, not have that paycheck. That was just the trade-off that I think that women need to sort of understand, like you're going to pay later.
Yeah. And it is all about life choices in the sense that if you decide to have a family while working full time, there is a trade-off. You can't actually stay at home and have it all while going to work. And so why do you think it is that the culture is perpetuating this lie and this myth that women's only true value to society, or the only way you'll be intellectually fulfilled, all of these things that come from feminism, are so deeply entrenched that women are shaming other women? I thought we were supposed to say that anyone's life choice is acceptable, right? I mean, isn't that supposed to be what the leftist mentality is? And yet there is this element of shame that if you find fulfillment in being a stay-at-home wife and mom, and especially homeschooling your kids, then somehow you're giving up your true value to society.
Yeah, it's incredible. Shame is very effective, and peer pressure and social status. And I think that's what it's about. People are so terrified to be like on the outs with their friend group or their peers. You don't want to be left out of the parties. There's a huge FOMO, you don't want to be the weirdos like me. I became this sort of extremist because I had more than 2 kids. All my friends only had 2 kids, like two. I had 3, then I had a 4th, and I kept going. And then I converted to Catholicism. Okay. So I might as well have had like a swastika, like tattooed on my forehead. Okay. I was like an extremist. I was just not invited around. It was like over for me. I was sort of dead. I was like, picked out of the club of the cool kids or whatever. So, and I had to go find new friends. I had to go find my own community of like extremely domestic women, mostly Catholics, mostly they're kind of the slur of like the trad wife, the little woman in the kitchen. These are extremely powerful, matriarchal, in a good way, women who are incredible examples of like just embodying this vocation of motherhood, and in such a beautiful way that I had never seen before. Women with big families and just doing it happily. And they don't have the thing, my liberal friends would have like one foot in their pre-childhood life, constantly looking for like the girls' night out, the escape from the kids, like, I got to get out of here, going to Vegas, and that's all fine. You can do all that stuff, but it seemed like it was constant. And the struggle for them was when they were home, when they were with their children, it was like, I'm not prepared for this. I don't know how to do it. I'm so overwhelmed. Whereas women who kind of lean in, like I like to say, lean into the vocation of motherhood, it's much easier. You're just in it, and you're able to accept really the sacrificial love that comes out of that, but also the beauty and the grace and the true value of yourself, like as a woman. Like that's what we're put here for. It's okay to embrace that innate, natural, it's organic, non-GMO, like this is like the way to go if you want, like, I really do feel like it's your best chance at lasting happiness.
Yeah. And that's such a great testament to a true value of a woman. And when we're in a society that is even questioning the definition of a woman and saying that men can become pregnant and, men should be stay-at-home moms now, it's like, well, wait a minute, this all is now totally off the rails crazy. But one of the things you said too, I see that mirrored in some of my own friends, and even with what you said about keeping one foot in kind of your past life and not really being happy with what you're doing at home. I see that even in friends of mine that have gotten married. It's like they keep one foot in their single life as well, and they're not truly getting in to their marriage, or even any of these major life decisions that we do make and that we should be embracing. That's the natural order. It's God's plan. I mean, and that's actually what the family was, the first institution that God created, and yet it's like anytime that we make these decisions, we kind of keep one foot, in the past, as if what we're giving up is so valuable. And I just wonder from your experience, what you would tell young women who are very scared to give that up because they are buying the fear of this cultural myth and feminism, to say, enjoy this now, because once you become a wife and a mom, you are stuck in all of this negativity. That, really moving forward in how life is supposed to be, to genuinely embrace that and to have happiness and joy in it.
Right. I know it's a tough sell because they've made the sort of like fun side, so tempting. It's filled with all these sort of decadent pleasures you're going to have a constant string of hot guys, and you're going to be going out in fabulous clothes, and like, okay, like maybe that's true temporarily for you. But what I say to young women is, I like to live my life thinking about the end. What do I want to see my very last moments on earth? Like, what kind of regrets might I have those last years of my life? What will I regret not having done? And I hear from women, older women, all the time. I wish I'd had one more. I wish I'd had two more. I wish. I mean, honestly, like dozens of women. I never hear anyone say, I wish I had had that last one. Like, I don't ever hear that. Okay. And I also know, just from talking to people in my life, conservatives who maybe converted to were liberals or were feminists, no one really looks back fondly at the era of their life where they were maybe partying or dating too many people or being promiscuous or drinking too much, whatever. No one really looks back at that, thinks, wow, that was so great. I'm so proud of myself. People kind of feel slightly like, what was I thinking? I easily could have given all of that up happily and never regretted any of it. Like, never regret not having done all of that. You're going to end up, if you get on that roller coaster, that merry-go-round, and you never get off. I mean, there's women I wrote about in my book who downloaded, for example, the Tinder app the day it came out, and 10 years later, they're still on it. And like they're repeat customers. That's what that app is good at, keeping you a repeat customer. And what do you get at the end when they spit you out in your late 30s? You've given all your years to your career, to your boss. I mean, you're going to have regrets. And that's something I really would love if any young women are watching. Where do you want your life to be when you're 60, when you're 70? No one wants to talk about old age. When you're old, when you're alone, are you going to be alone? Death, like, who's going to be there with you? Your cats are not going to be there with you, holding your hand at the end. And I like to operate like looking back, like doing what I can now to make sure that part is okay.
Yeah, and I think that makes so much sense when the culture does idolize youth and has this false sense of freedom and certainly promiscuity, as if that dating is such a great and glorious time. And I think that any single woman, myself included, would say that is not true, that you just have like a string of wonderful guys to pick from.
That's right.
In fact, it's very difficult. And it becomes increasingly difficult, if you've gone through breakups or if you've, for whatever reason, in my life, I mean, God has kept me single and I am in ministry, which is a calling. Mm-hmm. But where you have this opportunity to move forward and have a family, and women who are saying, oh, well, I just want to, keep that lifestyle. Nobody who's come out of that who recognizes, like you said, I mean, that's not the epitome of how we want to conduct our lives and how we want to live, is just going out every weekend. But it seems like that perpetual adolescence is so pervasive in society that it's continuing even to married couples and couples with kids. I mean, right. I know some friends, and especially people in DC when I was living there for a few years, that all they did, even as married couples and couples with kids, would just want to go out and get trashed on the weekend. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? I mean, and so, so where are we at as a culture that is teaching this sort of perpetual adolescence? And how do we actually convince current adolescents to, hey, you actually want to adult more? It's more fun.
Right. Adulting. Like, no, yes. It's called just grow up. Okay. I mean, I think it's like what you asked earlier, what is the purpose of feminism? What do they want out of women? And I think, I thought about this a lot, and to me, it just seems really obvious that the end goal of feminism and all of these messages is really to keep people as childless as possible, as self-sterilized as possible. It almost feels like, I mean, maybe this is strong language, but a form of genocide almost to like Americans. Like, they don't want you to be stable and happy and raising your own children. And it seems very obvious why they don't want to do that. They really want to sort of educate children themselves and feed them all their own messages. So the fewer kids that you have, the fewer kids they have to worry about not getting the messages, not being indoctrinated properly. It does really feel like they want, and all the climate change people, there's too many people. We pollute, big families pollute, we have our carbon footprint. And I always say, like, my carbon footprint is so tiny because I have too many children to travel very far. Like we barely ever fly, I stay in my neighborhood. I go to the market, come back, go to school, come back. My carbon footprint is like so much tinier than like, Meghan Markle or whatever. So that's my defense. Big families are very environmentally friendly. And my message is to young women is, I should talk about maybe young men. It turns out that Gen Z men, and you've probably seen some of the tweets and the news articles that I have, are more conservative. They have kind of rejected feminism. They get it. And it's our job to sort of help, maybe peel off some of the young women before they get fully indoctrinated, so we can provide wives to these based young Zoomers. And I think the reason they are like this is because they're like in the trenches. They're in college. They see these girls. They're like around these women. And these women are like, treat them like they're rapists, like they're toxic. And they're like, no, I'm a good guy. I don't know. I don't want to date you either. And it's this like tragic, like, these star-crossed lovers who cannot meet because the women are scared of the men are sort of like horrified by these girls. And we've got to figure it out because we need them to breed, frankly.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think what you're saying too, of what is the end goal of feminism, is really the point that I wish that young women especially would truly grasp, is that they're actually a commodity of an ideology that does not have their best interests in mind.
Right. Exactly.
And when they are buying into this ideology and they are willing to sacrifice years of their life and, some of their best years and most fertile years and, being able to have a young family, and they're buying into this ideology that will keep them more often in poverty, in housing that is not their own. They don't end up becoming property owners. They don't have an increase in wealth with a 2-household income that's actually together with right of survivorship. I mean, all of these benefits from the nuclear family that we see. I mean, this is why then the left says, okay, well then, give us the education and we're going to indoctrinate the kids of some of the families that do have kids, because they want to continue to perpetuate this myth. And so then you and families like you become the extremists. Why? Because they can't indoctrinate your children or you,
right.
And you are flying in the face of everything that they want to be transformative about culture. And I wish that young women truly understood that even though there are the bright and shiny people like, Meghan Markle that you referred to, or all these, young women on the faces of magazines and stuff, that is a lie. And that is marketed, selling a poison and an ideology that is simply not true. So, So where can people find your book and find more about this message? I think it's so incredibly important that young women really consider what they want their own lives to look like and what ideology they want to actually believe, not that is just assumed into the culture.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary. There's like big corporations now are offering egg freezing as the big glamorous benefit. And why? Not for you. It's so that you stay at work and you never leave. That's all they want from you. They just want to extract your resources and then kick you out. And on that note, people can find my book on Amazon. It came out on June 6th, a couple of weeks ago. Barnes & Noble, anywhere books are sold, or follow me on Twitter at Keenan Peachy.
All right. Well, thanks so much. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it is all about commodities and, to have not only to keep women at work, but also to continue this whole like quote unquote reproductive health when you need big pharma to assist you in that. And you have this whole consumer driven mentality towards children as commodities. Then there are so many ethical questions, but I think that young women need to seriously ask and answer the question, what do I want my life to look like? And what ideology do I want to believe? Not just that the culture is telling me to believe. So I really respect and appreciate that you are trying to transform the culture through this toxic extremism that is called the traditional family that has existed, since the very first family in the Garden of Eden.
Right.
But thank you so much, Keenan. I really appreciate your dedication to this. And thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much, Jenna. My pleasure.
With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to your to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you.
Have you ever picked up a towel set because it felt so soft in the store, but then when you leave and you go to use it, it's not really that absorbent? It's basically a towel that is leaving you out to dry. That's why MyPillow has developed the MyPillow towels that actually work. I know, it's totally mind-blowing. Towels that actually dry you. Their 6-piece towel set includes 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. They come in a variety of colors. I have the sage green and the white. I love them. And right now you can receive a 6-piece set for only $39.98 with promo code Jenna. That's JENNA. So go to mypillow.com right now and click on the radio listeners special. MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty and have a 60-day money-back guarantee. So to receive this amazing offer on the 6-piece towel set of MyPillow towels, just go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener special, and enter promo code Jenna, that's JENNA, or call 1-800-564-8475. That's mypillow.com, promo code Jenna.